Hi, I'm Kevin, and welcome back to Generation Jones. You know, making friends as an adult is just plain hard. In the last couple of videos, we talked about the worldwide problem of loneliness. We mentioned that the Surgeon General in the United States has declared that loneliness has reached epidemic proportions. Loneliness is as harmful to our physical bodies as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. As many as 60% of the people living in the United States admit that they feel lonely much of the time. And that percentage is almost as high in other countries, such as is in England and Australia. But if people are so lonely and are longing for meaningful relationships, why is it so hard to find a friend? When we were children, making friends seemed so natural and effortless. When I was 3 years old, my mom and I lived for a brief time in an apartment with my grandparents in Milpitas, California. That's just up the road from San Jose. My very first friend was a Mexican boy named Hector. I don't think Hector spoke a word of English, and back then I didn't speak Spanish. But the language barrier never got in the way of us having fun together and playing out on the front yard every day. My parents and I moved into a brand new home in San Jose just before I turned 4. A few days after my family and I moved in, the Lococo family moved into their new 2-story house, just 2 doors down from us. David was a year older than me, and we became best friends immediately. I think we played together every afternoon after school and on weekends until my family moved away when I was 10 years old. For me at least, making friends seemed so easy when we were little. By the time I reached my high school and college years, I wouldn't say that I had a lot of friends, but I did always have a few good friends that I could share quality time with. So again, we ask the question, why is it so much harder to make close friends now that we're mature adults? When researchers interviewed adults about making friends in a recent study, the most important challenge cited was a lack of trust. Lack of trust. That is, people found it harder to put their trust in someone new and fully invest in them as a friend compared to when they were younger. Perhaps that's the reason why so many people keep their circle of friends as long as possible, given the trust they may have built up over so many years. So, what is it about adulthood? Well, as adults, we have greater self-awareness than children. While that is often a positive, it also means that we're more aware of the risks of being judged by others, of not being liked, of maybe even being rejected or being hurt. Maybe many of us went through those painful experiences in our teens and 20s and were burned by so-called friendships. Maybe the potential downside of friendships still lingers in our minds and in our hearts, causing us to keep potential friends at arm's length. If we've had previous rejections as friends or suffered a breach of trust, we just might find it harder to be trusting of others in the future. To trust a new friend means opening ourselves up and being vulnerable, just as we do in other relationships. And friendships need time. After the trust issue comes time. Lack of time was the second most common reason people gave after a lack of trust, when asked why they found it hard to make friends as adults. Now, this might not be news to many of us. When we have demanding work schedules and are very involved in our family lives, or a combination of the two, our time for investing in friendships diminishes. Even when we meet a promising friend, it can be hard to carve out time to invest in the potential friendship. And that's a bigger problem for older adults, seeing that most people find their obligations increase with age. How long does it actually take to make friends? It shouldn't surprise us that closer friendships take longer to build than casual acquaintances. Researchers in the United States have tried to quantify this, estimating that it takes roughly 50 hours of shared contact to move from acquaintances to casual friends. To be a close friend, that requires more than 200 hours. And what's more, the hours you spend together need to be quality. While you may well put in the time with your work colleagues, professional interactions really don't count for much. To develop a new friendship, you need personal connection. It doesn't have to be an intimate conversation to strengthen a friendship, although that's desirable. But casual check-ins and joking around can be very important too in developing and nurturing a new friendship. And there are a lot of other barriers that stop us from having the close friendships that we so desire. Now, this could include having an introverted personality, health barriers, personal insecurities, or maintaining a formal facade and not allowing potential friends in. And older people, elderly, are more likely to cite illness and disability as barriers to socializing. And younger adults are more likely to be stopped by introversion or fears of rejection. So, how can we get better at making friends as adults? It is entirely possible to overcome these barriers as adults and build meaningful, long-lasting, enduring friendships. We don't have to accept loneliness as something that's inevitable. And while you might think that everyone else is having a great social life, especially looking at those Facebook posts, remember, loneliness is widespread. Just think, possibly 60% of the people posting happy, smiling photos on Facebook are likely to be just as lonely as the rest of us. So, just how do we do it? You don't have to be climbing mountains or bonding intensely over a shared hobby to solidify a new friendship. If you put in 10 minutes a day, you can maintain existing friendships and at the same time build new ones. Send a text, forward a meme, add to the group chat, or give someone a quick phone call. Remember the telephone? That's what we used before texts came along. Don't get caught up on how much effort, energy, and time goes into building a friendship. 10 minutes a day just may be all you need to start. And when you do have the opportunity to spend time with a friend or acquaintance, make the most of it. Avoid distractions, if at all possible. Keep the Instagram, keep Facebook, keep your cell phone for the couch at home. Be present. Be present with your new friend. Be all there. And finally, allow yourself to be vulnerable. Yeah, we're often scared about the idea of being vulnerable, about letting our guard down. But I think we should embrace it. Remember, you're in control of how much trust and how much you open up. If you struggle with trust issues, consider sharing personal information slowly, gradually, a little bit at a time. You don't have to open up about everything all at once. There is a risk of being vulnerable, but there's also the potential to connect on a meaningful, a deep level with another person who very well may become a good friend. And that is what we're looking for, right? Well, thank you so much for joining me again today on Generation Jones. If you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Share a positive and thoughtful comment in the space down below. Till we get together again in a few days, I hope you're able to make positive and meaningful connections. Hope to see you soon.